As an American, I eat apple pie, play baseball under its blue skies. As an American, I travel this land and follow her roads wherever I can. From sea to shining sea, I've seen a lot, and none of it will be forgot. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. I was born into freedom in a wonderful land of mountains and plains, rivers and lakes. Forever American is what I am. A past as rich as any can be. My father's worked hard to give this to me. I love this place I come from. To live another way I cannot foresee. As an American,
Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing tonight? Hi, Pam. Hi, Debbie Martin, or Debbie Rogers. Debbie Martin. Teresa, how you doing tonight? Back live again at it. Of course, now we have a computer once again. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, Richard. Hit that share button. Hi, Tia. How you doing tonight? Where's BK at and everybody else? I don't know. Hopefully Patrick gets in here and everybody gets in. Give people a minute here. A lot going on in the world today. A lot. Every time I turn around, something else is happening. Watching stuff unfold at a rapid rate. Hello, Matt. How you doing tonight? Hit that share button and that like button as you come in. Definitely helps the algorithm a little bit. Of course, always fighting that. Hi, Richard. Hi, everybody. I still see Jeff. There you are. I don't see Patrick in here. I know he said he was going to be in here. Linda. Karen. I'm missing a couple other people. Definitely missed you guys too. Sorry about that. My computer, like I said, took a junk. It literally jumped off a bridge and decided to die. So I had no CPU, no motherboard, so I couldn't actually go live, even if I wanted to. Watching everything building up though. Boatloads of craziness going on, popping off. That's just the beginning. Maybe watching the world burn itself down, literally, as we speak. More ammunition, of course, disappearing off American shelves, as the military is calling for that ammunition to be held for civil defense purposes. All this, of course, talking about January 1st up and coming. This could be a big news as we, of course, follow through. Information just coming out today. And this, of course, is the kind of information that quite disconcerting. It makes your hair stand up on end, especially if you're a prepper. We got to talk about this. Numerous other data points that we've been going over, chief among them, potential for civil unrest, activation of sleeper cells, things pop off in the Middle East. We see one of these things, sleeper cells, suppressed today. And of course, the jury's still out on that. We're going to see what happens with the emails that have been shared from the individuals who apparently got marching orders. So they got actually forwarded emails from their captains. I'm not going to give away what country they're going to or identify information about these, but I'll tell you this. It collaborates what we're thinking and what we're seeing in the Middle East. We have some major Russian hacks. Russian and Chinese obviously putting themselves right out in the open, aligning themselves together. And with Palestine. Of course, in terms of a couple statements that have been made today, the war in Yemen is starting once again. And it appears to be, though, that there are some suspicious things going on. 2 months on the run-up to conflict with Ben Shapiro, of course, alarming himself and firearms and everything else happening. It's just craziness. as we know today, we talk about what's going on. You guys are seeing it's very important that we don't get tunnel vision and analyzing different threats of the war that are popping up everywhere. Because it seems right when we get hyperfixated on one of these areas in the map, all of a sudden something catches off guard. So it's important to keep an open eye on peripherals. And now Kim Jong-un has officially ordered food reserves restored at all costs. North Korea releasing much of its rice reserves to keep people from starving during the pandemic, of course. Now it orders the country's civil defense department to military priorities the replenishment of military food reserves at all costs. They want this done by the end of November. Now, this is crazy. Radio Free Asia, which is a fairly credible news source, usually a lot of military provisions and other rations is determined at the end of December once autumn grain harvest is completely dry. So knowing that they're trying to stockpile this stuff and happening so fast as we're watching this stuff unfold, it's important to watch what is truly happening. It's crazy. These countries are getting ready for war. We got Russia now trading directly with North Korea. And of course, our Secretary of Defense makes it sound like North Korea is only getting food out of this deal. North Korea is getting lots of materials to build new missiles and everything else. China and Russia are closer together than ever, sharing nuclear refinement secrets with each other. You don't do that with a sort of ally. We don't share our secrets with any other country. Now, of course, Russia helping China produce massive amounts of nuclear weapons. People, wake up. This is happening. It's unfolding now. It's not happening tomorrow. It's not happening in the weeks from now. This is happening now. North Korea with over 100 nuclear missiles at their disposal right now. And of course, U.S. Defense Secretary wants us to believe that China only has 400 missiles of nuclear capability. Come on. None of us are that dense. I mean, they play these games and they want to, of course, make us think that we don't know what we're talking about. No way China would want to fight us directly. They're, of course, not building up massive amounts of arms and right next to Taiwan right now, having conflicts, of course, with Japan, disputed islands, just recent couple days. Iran does have hypersonic missiles, but I'm not worried about that. I'm really not worried about the hypersonic missiles Iran does have at this point. There's more concerning things, and of course, I know we can counter a lot of hypersonics. I'm not getting into why, because I do not want to disclose how we protect ourselves. Our weak leadership here is a big problem. So a little bit of edge we do have right now that, of course, the rest of the world does not know about, I don't think we should tell them, honestly. So I might share it privately in chat with a group of you guys that are in the chat of what we credibly have that I can verify as of yesterday. And it's crazy. But of course, China keeping up with military pressure on Taiwan, sending 43 planes and 7 ships today near the self-governing island. And this is just unfolding. Like I said, we get so focused or hyper-focused on what's happening in one little area, like the Middle East. And here we go, China sending 43 military aircraft, 7 ships near Taiwan. The latest sign that Beijing plans not to let up on its campaign of harassment. Of course, our Navy, we have barely any ships out there right now. I don't know if you guys know this, but a large portion of our Navy has been diverted to the Middle East. I mean, we're talking 3 carrier groups out of the 5 we have. We don't know how many submarines there, but we know ridiculous amounts of missiles. Missile frigates. Massive amount of ships. 73 ships in total that we know of. Russia now sending ships to the Mediterranean Sea as well. China having ships there as course arriving today and yesterday. Can't recognize what's happening. The division between all sides on this is becoming division against 2 sides. It's the West against the rest of the world. We're puppets. We are puppets, feeding right into their pockets at this point. We're following exactly what they want us to do. by going in, of course, and moving everything to help Israel as soon as possible. Meanwhile, got China and Russia and North Korea and Venezuela and now Belize and all these other countries backing the Hamas or Palestinians. Let's just say that. And I can understand why in some means. But Japan having to face off with Chinese warships. Japan has a coast guard, that, of course, facing off in waters around the disputed island in the East China Sea today. Both countries saying they're deploying patrol ships to urge the other side to leave its territory. Of course, China has been claiming this territory forever. Japan, we know, lost all territory just 50 years ago, not even 60 years ago. They didn't own any of the territory, so they can't all of a sudden be claiming territory that was never theirs. They lost everything a long time ago. But watching this unfold day after day, preventing a war in the Taiwan Strait now is looking like it could be over. As Navy is begging for release of vessels and authorization to send vessels there at this point, because the vessels that were there were being sent to the Middle East. The understanding of what's happening in the cross-strait peace for the security of decades has begin to unravel as Chinese power and assertiveness grows. Competition between the United States and China spread. Taiwan's people, of course, developing a distinct identity, increasing disassociation from the mainland, but they're still a Chinese province. Chinese military officials, of course, offense taking over Taiwan is unlikely in the near term. The conflict of risk arising, of course, of what remains a flashpoint between the West and the Asian Pacific countries. This could be huge. A direct conflict between this would be two big powers would mean global economic disaster and shock. The potential for nuclear escalation is definitely there. We have that right now just in the Middle East and Russia. Yeah, Russia's winning big. Russia's been winning big in more ways than one. They might be losing ground in Bakhmut, but the rest of Ukraine, they're severely winning. It's sad. And that's what's happening. As we watch oil-rich nations around the globe turn against the West, that means, of course, Europe and us, maybe freezing out this winter. Gas prices look like they're going lower, but that's a fluctuation point. It's happening because, of course, lack of gas demand because people aren't traveling right now like they usually do at this time of year. Even though families have gone on winter break or the kids are going on break, and of course, they're not taking vacations. People can't afford to. Still buying less fuel, so the government, of course, cutting taxes and trying to flood the market with oil to make it cheap. So people make travel plans at this point. But it's too soon. Watching the risk and mitigations of what's happening across the world, there's no trust. There's no shoring up of political long-standing understandings. Washington's credibility is gone. I mean, civil war is easily going to break out at any point. Go back in charge, gas will be going higher than we've ever seen. We get cut off fuel from all oil-rich nations, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Russia. We're already not buying oil from Venezuela, Brazil. I mean, they're all talking about cutting us off, especially, of course, we're backing Israel. And now Israel's criticizing South American countries after, of course, they're cut diplomatic ties with and recalled ambassadors. That's right. Argentina, criticized, of course, by Israel, Chile, Colombia, Bolivia, all this afternoon were criticized by Israel as the countries undertook a series of diplomatic moves to protest against Israel's military operations in Gaza. And it's not the operations against Hamas like Israel's trying to say. It's the operations that are happening in general in Gaza. Over 3,000 children have died in Gaza Strip in the last 2 weeks. Yes, what happened when Hamas attacked Israel was devastating. watching citizens get killed. Absolutely devastating. But watching airstrikes just level places inside of the Gaza Strip and knowing over 3,000 children have died because of airstrikes, it is genocide at this point. We've got Argentina, Brazil, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, all these countries in South America, of course, being criticized for their pulling out of trade deals and deals with Israel and pulling out all diplomatic people there. I mean, the military operation and the effects it's having in citizens is going too far. It's not that Palestine or Israel is the bad side. It's about what you do when you attack the enemy. The enemy is Hamas. It is not every single person that is of Muslim faith or Palestinian faith. That is not the case. It is Hamas, a terrorist organization, which of course did slaughter and abduct women, children, babies, and elderly. That's not a question. We know it happened. But watching Israel, of course, retaliate on that, knowingly killing civilians in masses, much greater than, of course, any civilians killed in Israel with Hamas doing it, they're actually attacking civilian structures. And that's where we see this. Israel has every right to defend themselves. That's not a question. It's when you attack somebody and you go past the point of just attacking them, and they're not attacking what Hamas is using women and children as shields. I believe that claim. I did until I seen them bombs dropped on tent cities in South Gaza Strip. Israel took fighter planes and dropped bombs on the South Gaza Strip. Our media won't tell you. I'm not saying what the media is doing. I don't watch the media. I don't watch the news. You guys knew that? I don't watch TV. You'll hardly ever see me watching TV. It might be once a week or every 2 weeks. You can ask Nana. I'm on the phone with her 90% of the time. I just don't like it. I might try to do the research, get actual facts and information from people on the ground, and get actual information from videos that you can actually verify. It's sad. It shouldn't be Muslim versus Christian. Hamas is a terrible group. It's terrible. Israel didn't exist before 1964 when it was bought by the Rothschilds. So I'm not getting into that. But watching, of course, all these countries turn against Israel and turn against us for backing Israel, what I'm trying to get at, Hamas and Hezbollah are both terrorists, let's be honest. But watching all these countries turn their backs on us because we're backing Israel, which I believe Israel has every right to stand up and defend its citizens. Every single person that is to do with Hamas should be killed without a question. And I'll say that honestly. If you're going to create terror and you're going to go and create evil, vile things and do evil, vile things, you deserve to die. That's it. Yeah, the Rothschilds bought that property. Nobody talks about it. Nobody wants to. That's how Israel was made. We're watching, of course, what's happening, the separation between these countries. Yeah, I'm not getting into it. It's devastating. It is devastating when it's happening. And I believe a country has a right to defend its citizens at any means necessary. But going, of course, and deciding that they want to do whatever they want, and they can do whatever they want. It's like us going to Afghanistan. When we first went in to fight terror, we didn't fight terror, we caused terror. And I know that from personal experience. I've seen what's happened. Afghanistan, and the Middle East from America's firsthand doings. And it's tragic. There's a reason why the people there state certain things about America, because they don't know what actually America is about. They know what America is told or did in their countries. Crazy. It's crazy watching what's happening. Of course, American citizens just now being able to exit Gaza. I don't know if you guys know this. American citizens have been trapped in Gaza for weeks as Gaza has been besieged with bombs. Foreign nationals from not just America, but from around the world that had passports that were in Gaza at the time when it locked down, because Israel's doing, have been trapped there. Wounded or not, foreign nationals from America and other countries have been trapped there till today. As Israel ground forces advanced to the gates of Gaza's city in heavy fighting with militants, military said Wednesday, hundreds of foreign nationals and dozens of seriously injured Palestinians were finally allowed to leave Gaza. Finally. And this is what really kills me, is nobody's hearing about this on the media. They're not going to hear this on the media. Finally, people that have been trapped in Gaza, not allowed to leave. The only people that have been allowed to leave so far were the hostages released by Hamas. But the people that were actually trapped there with passports that just happened to be in the area when all this went down, which are hundreds of foreign nationals, not a couple, dozens of course, serious injured Palestinians, finally allowed to leave more than 3 weeks after this place has been under siege. Nobody hears about that. I want to know one media outlet that talked about this today, that hundreds of foreign nationals finally able to get out of Gaza because Israel decided they would let them out. That's tragic. And I'll be honest, even Jewish people here in this country said this was ridiculous that these people were trapped. Because there are Jewish people that were trapped inside of Gaza that are not there from the U.S. and other countries abroad, foreign nationals, none of them Israelites or Palestinians. They are, of course, of Judaism, religion, being trapped there. But watching this, finally, first people to leave. Besides, of course, the hostage situation. Because Israel did not want to spend time vetting people. They didn't even want to let people meet at the border gates to get out. This is crazy. More Americans, of course, and foreign nationals are expected to try to get out of Gaza in the coming days because, of course, the people that got out today just happen to be close to where this happened. Just happen to be close. Otherwise, they would have known they could have gotten out today. State Department, of course, admitting some American citizens were among those who left without getting giving specifics. So this is the information we have coming out of our State Department on a release that, of course, wasn't talked about publicly. It is a press release that was issued today. A one-liner, literally one line, and a 47-page document. You had to read 47 pages to figure out American citizens were finally able to get out of Gaza Strip today after 3 weeks of being trapped there. U.S. citizens with U.S. passports, not dual citizenship. We're talking direct U.S. citizens that have been trapped there for 3 weeks. There's not a problem. They weren't the ones that attacked Israel. They weren't. And you wonder why China and Russia and everybody else is all pushing to join in the fight with Palestine, of course, people getting hurt. I will stand with Israel too. But I gotta say, this is a problem. We're talking about U.S. citizens being trapped inside of a war zone, not trapped inside of Israel, not being able to get out. No, these people aren't dual citizens. These are U.S. citizens that were trapped there. Dual citizens were not even counting. the State Department issued a direct statement in that document saying these were American citizens, non-dual citizenship holders were among those who got out today, and they won't give any more specifics about who they were and how many. We know that hundreds of foreign nationals total got out of Gaza today. Hundreds. Not dual citizens, foreign nationals. That means they're not citizens of either country, Gaza or Israel. They should have gone out day one. But even people in Israel, of course, that want to come home, that are U.S. citizens, not dual nationalship or not dual citizens, can't get a flight home unless they're going to pay for it themselves. If you're a dual citizen and you live in Israel and you have a U.S. house or a U.S. passport as well, you cannot get home to the U.S. unless you're going to pay for your own flight. You can't sell your property there. And if you can't pay for your own flight, you got to sign an IOU to get out of a war zone. This is the way we're treating our citizens. But yet our immigrants that are coming across the border illegally, we're giving them housing, food, shelter, water, healthcare, bus tickets, plane tickets, anywhere they want to go. Oh, you get to New York, you don't like it there? Oh, New York will fly you to California for free. Just imagine this happening in any other nation. And we wonder why we're at the brink of civil war. We're wondering why people are going crazy. This is a problem. It's crazy. This is crazy. Yeah, they know exactly where everybody is. U.S. government, when you scan your passport at every entry or crossing of any border that gets scanned in an Interpol database, and any U.S. passport that gets scanned automatically gets turned over to the U.S. Embassy. Automatically. Those lists are automatic. They know when you enter the country, if you scan a passport, in any country you're traveling in the Middle East, you have to scan passports to get through any kind of border. It just happens. So they know. I'm not defending Hamas. They can get a plane ticket, bus ticket, food, housing, anywhere they go in the U.S. as immigrants, but we can't get our own people home. This is crazy. I'm sorry, the number of Palestinian children that have been killed in 3 weeks of war so far is 3,600. 3,600 Palestinian children have been killed in Gaza. 3,600 children. We're not talking about 12,000 people total that were killed in the attack in Israel. We're talking just the attacks, the airstrikes that have happened in Gaza. 3,600 children in just 3 weeks. That is crazy. And I've been in the Middle East. I've talked to people. I've had to deal with people. And it's sad because I know our government says a lot of stuff directly to the people and the media, the way they just portray things. But that's not how the world really works. War is dirty. It's ugly. Watching 3,600 children die, I mean, that number is probably small. That's the number we're getting, and it's probably not accurate. I mean, this is crazy. These are by airstrikes. Of course, some casualties were from misfired rockets. We know that, of course, happened. This is crazy, though. Newborns, toddlers, kids that were innocent. I don't care what religion or faith they were, because they were innocent. And innocent is innocent. Watching this all unfold is tragic. And then this situation's going to become a boiling point, I'm guessing, by the end of this month. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I say before December 1st. The stock market's going to end up taking a huge hit. If we watch what's happening with gold and silver at an elevated rate of indexing, very fastly climbing up the ladder in price. Anytime gold and silver, of course, gain in price at a rapid rate, it's usually before some great economic struggle. As we see tensions rising in the Middle East, tensions rising with China, civil defense calling in for ammunition not to be sold to the public, to be held for wartime contingencies. You can't buy 5.56 right now. You can't. As a private citizen, it is no longer being manufactured for you. Even though that is an ammunition used for hunting, many rifles and other guns do take it. Other ammunition is going to be pulled in the coming weeks. This is happening. I hate to say it. When the Navy has to beg for permission to take ships away from the U.S. coastline that are protecting the U.S. coastline to protect a foreign nation like Taiwan, which the Navy is doing right now. The Navy is looking for authorization to send ships to Taiwan because we displaced the whole entire Pacific Fleet to the Mediterranean, which I don't understand why, because putting them all there is a sitting duck situation, and we're asking for trouble. That's another story for another day. But for the U.S. Navy to have to go and ask for permission to take away our defensive structure that we use to protect the coastlines of the United States from unwanted intrusions and entry, while we know we're having Russia trying to probe our defenses in Alaska, what's next? They're going to probe them everywhere, because if we start sending ships to Taiwan Strait now from the U.S. coastlines, what's going to happen? Yeah, the highest alert is on. We're DEFCON 2. DEFCON 1 means we're actively fighting a nuclear war. Nukes are flying at DEFCON 2, people. You have 15-minute flight plans for nuclear bombers sitting on airfields around the United States. You think it's crazy? When you watched a B-2 bomber land in Turkey not only 2 days ago, on Monday. Wasn't on the news. Why is a bomber that carries nuclear ordnance landing in Turkey? The ally that's not even truly an ally with us. Yeah, leaving our shores unprotected is what's going to happen. That's what the Navy's asking for right now. The only way to defend Taiwan at this point is to take ships away from our shoreline and send them overseas. And people are not talking about the troop bill of military. They say 5,000 reservists have the possibility of being called up. What about the 50,000 additional troops that were pulled from the European nations that were brought down into military bases in the Middle East? The base of Qatar that usually houses 10,000 troops has over 50,000 troops at it right now. Those are real numbers. I think the government wants Donald Trump to become president at this point. Because if we get into a war, Donald Trump gets put into presidency, we end up losing a war because the mismanagement of our assets prior to this war, and he won't have control of the beginning. He may have control of the end, but at that point, we're going to be so depleted in resources that we won't be able to fight. So then the Democrats could just blame this on a Republican president. Let's be honest. If we're at war, Donald Trump takes office, and we lose for some reason because we're so mismanaged at this point, it's the perfect blame game. You'll never see another Republican elected in their life, your lifetime or mine. It's happening. It's crazy. Watching cities like Chicago and other cities struggling with housing as winter weather is setting in. Snow is falling around the country, especially the northern part of the country. last-minute shelters are trying to open around the country, Chicago and other cities, of course, dealing with a growing homeless population. And asylum seekers, of course, take out most hotels. There's having to put out tents for people in the middle of winter because there's no more actual places to home people or to house the homeless. Shelter housing is being set up in police stations, taking over police stations, airports, and streets. Volunteers in churches and aldermen say their response is way too slow and inefficient. Goodwill and charity cannot fix the problematic system. Who would have guessed it? These sanctuary cities say goodwill charity cannot fix the systematic problems. This is crazy. Yeah, it'll be Trump's fault. The sanctuary cities, of course, now don't know what to do. The 5 big cities seek a meeting with Biden on how to better manage arrival of illegal immigrants. We're not going to call them migrants because that's not what they are. They're illegal immigrants. Mayors of Chicago, Denver, Houston, Los Angeles, and New York pressing to meet with Biden at this point about getting federal help to manage the surge of migrants. We're already spending billions of dollars a day on migrants. They want more money to, of course, house more migrants in these cities. Taking over cruise ships, possibly. Terminals are already being turned into shelters in New York. Cruise ship terminals. They're talking about taking over actual cruise ships in New York. Denver, the number of migrants arriving has increased to tenfold. The space available is gone. There's no space. There's no work available. There's nothing. There's no way to get them in proper housing. We can't even provide them tents. Democratic votes. They're not even soldiers. They're Democratic votes, let's be honest. Illegal immigrants. Because they can get a driver's license in these sanctuary cities. Oh, and they made these new laws where when you get a driver's license, you automatically register to vote. You don't register. The state does it for you. But wait, if you're an immigrant and not a citizen, you're not supposed to register to vote. But the state did it, not you, so it's not your fault because you didn't register illegally. The state did it for you. Watching this. And we wonder why so many problems are happening. We wonder why so many problems are happening. People, it's time to wake up. The government that once was for the people, by the people, is no longer the case. It's not even for the people anymore, much less by the people. Heading to the border, there's a lot more than 5,000. 5,000 people crossed Mexico's southern border today after not waiting in line at immigration to get through. That's the ones that didn't wait. This is crazy. Yeah, not going there tonight about the vaccinated. It's just so much. It's too much. Too much for Americans to sit back and just say everything's going to be okay at this point. Sitting back, and if you're not prepared, I mean, this flashpoint is going to hit us before the new year does. As fuel prices will start increasing drastically, inflation will reach a fever pitch once again. I mean, nobody's prepared for what's about to unfold. They're talking about cutting U.S. oil. They're going to start cutting U.S. oil. When that happens, the end is near. So be prepared. Be able to grow your own crops. Be able to have the stuff you need. Grow jalapenos. That shit's about to get spicy. God bless you guys. Thank you for being with us tonight. I know it was kind of long and drawn out show. I just wanted to make sure I get you guys up to date with what's happening because it is crazy out there. And it's only going to get worse. I hate to say that. But watching what I'm hearing in the background, what I'm hearing from soldiers actively being deployed, get ready for shit to hit the fan. Get ready to know what you're going to do when shit hits the fan. From what I'm hearing, by before December 1st, within a month, we will have very hard times here in America, Canada, any part of the Western nations will be having the same feeling. Europe's going bankrupt right now. Nobody's talking about that. It's already happened. There's no way for them to make enough money to pay their taxes or their interest on their loans. Much of the same predicament that the U.S. has become. So, fan is spinning and shit's going to hit it quick. God bless you guys. Have a great night. And of course, we will see you tomorrow night at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Till then, say a prayer and be ready.